we've already set the logo we want for the back panel of our trifold brochure. Let me go Command 0 here, Control 0 if you're working on a Windows PC. And what we're going to do now is we're going to place some text inside of our document. So I'm going to go to the File pull-down menu. Now I'm going to go Place. The keyboard shortcut for that is Command D if I'm working on the Mac, Control D if I'm working with InDesign on a Windows PC. I'm going to select that, and in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab addresscopy.rtf. Double click. Now don't worry if you get a missing font warning. We'll be formatting the text momentarily. And in this case, it'll give me an area to place that dummy copy that we actually used a little bit earlier when we designed our card flyer in Chapter 2 of our InDesign CS6 course. I'm just going to click the mouse button to place that text right there. I'm going to get my Type tool over here out of the Tools panel. I'm going to go anywhere inside the text, and I'm going to click to place the cursor. I'm going to go Command A to highlight all that text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my paragraph styles, and I'm going to make that body copy. Looks like there's a stroke on it, so I'm going to Option click on the body copy. Alt click on Windows if you have a stroke on your text as well. I'll go into more detail about this a little later in this lesson. Now we can see that the font that we're working with is Times Regular or Times New Roman if you use that font in the last chapter to set up your template. 13/15. It made the width 95%. It's aligned flush left. Basically everything that I set up in the trifold template for the body copy paragraph style in my last chapter of this InDesign course has now been applied to that text. I'm going to take this text and I'm just going to adjust the text frame so it's just about the size of what I want to work with. I'm going to rotate it minus 90 degrees, and I'm going to move it right over here underneath my Total Training logo on the mail back panel. Not bad, but not very good either. As I look at this, and I've got that built, that black type really doesn't stand out across that dark blue background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my text cursor, and I'm going to click into the text. I'm just going to click in once, and I'm going to go Command A to highlight it all. If you're on a Windows PC, Control A will do that for you. And what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to take the color of that type, and instead of it being black, I'm going to make it white. Now it looks black on the screen, but when I click away, I'll see that that type actually shows up as white. I'm going to do one more thing because I want to make that a little bit stronger to kind of punch that up. So I'm going to highlight all the text in the thread. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that type from Times Regular to Times Bold. Now I could have also done this with the character attributes, but I'm doing it specifically this way to show you something that's significant working with Adobe InDesign. So I'm going to take that type and I'm going to make it bold. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Paragraph Styles panel, and when I look at it, it's going to show a little plus here. What that plus means is that there are overrides or changes that have been made to this type that was body copy style. And when I put my cursor in here in this case, it actually lets me know what it is, and that is that that type was made bold and that the tint was 0% or we set reverse type. Now, it's not identical to the body copy style, but as we did this, what it actually does is it's based on that style. And if I chose to, for example, change the body copy font from Times to Arial, like we're using for our headlines, it would change the font, but it wouldn't change the things that were unique or based on that font. The fact that we reversed it and the fact that we made this type bold for it. So that's basically how this works. I'm going to click away from there. And what we're going to do next is we're going to fill in graphics and text for this gatefold or peekaboo panel that's working on the front of our trifold brochure. So I'm going to go Command D since I'm on the Mac to place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a logo. I'm going to double click on the Total Training Online CMYK outline.eps file. I'm going to place it at the top of the live area in that first column. And against that little blue guide that we used to offset, I'm going to click the mouse button down. And as I do that, magically that fits just about perfectly for where I want that to be. Now let's place that logo that's set in process color terms right at the top of this panel. Let's go get some text next. I'm going to first deselect, because I don't want to make that same mistake I demonstrated to you earlier. I'm going to go Command D, because I'm working on the Mac. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab gatefoldcopy.rtf. Double click on that. That gives me the text frame that I'm looking for. I'm going to put it up against that left guide margin here, and I'm going to click the mouse button down. And you'll see that it fills the column. I need to offset that just a little bit. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to move it off to the right, just like so. Now I've got all kinds of formatting that's loaded inside of this type, and it's kind of messed up. It doesn't look exactly the way that I'd like it to look. So I'm going to fix that. Whenever you're formatting type, it generally makes the most sense to use whatever type format will be predominant in here. And most of this text is going to be body copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click to change to my text cursor and place that in. I'm going to go Command A to highlight it all. If you're on a Windows PC, Control A will do the same thing. And what I'm going to do in this instance is I'm going to make it body copy. Now you'll notice as I did that, it shows that little plus. I'm going to say for the sake of argument here that I don't want any variations whatsoever in how I do this. So the way to do that is I'm going to hold down the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key if I'm working on a Windows PC, and I'm going to click once again on that style. What that does is that removes overrides. So when you hold down the Alt key on a Windows PC or hold down the Option key working on the Mac with highlighted type that's based on a defined paragraph style, clicking on that style with the Alt or Option key held down will automatically take it back and will make it the default style with no variations, no options based on what was built. So now all of this is exactly body copy type. Now, I'm going to take these headers that exist on the top of each of these, feature-rich interface, time-saving, flexible, self-paced, etc., as we go through these, and I'm going to turn those into headlines very quickly and very easily by first clicking in flexible as a fine example. I'm going to click on that and say you're a headline. And what it does is I don't have to highlight the entire paragraph, but in this case, it takes that and it makes that the headline style. I'm going to do the same of that for all the rest of these capitalized headers.